64. The Second 10 Powers Sutra, 64. Corresponding Section 12. Corresponding 22nd Sutra. In Sravasti, the Buddha said, "Monks, the Tathagata possesses 10 powers for kinds of fearlessness, proclaims the highest position, roars the lion's roar in assemblies, turns the Brahma wheel, and declares, 'This is form, this is the arising of form, this is the cessation of form, this is feeling, this is the arising of feeling, this is the cessation of feeling, this is perception, this is the arising of perception, this is the cessation of perception, this is volitional formations, this is the arising of volitional formations, this is the cessation of volitional formations. This is consciousness. This is the arising of consciousness. This is the cessation of consciousness. When this exists, that comes to be. With the arising of this, that arises. When this does not exist, that does not come to be. With the cessation of this, that ceases. That is, with ignorance as condition, volitional formations come to be. With volitional formations as condition, consciousness. Thus there is the origination of this whole mass of suffering. But with the remainderless fading away and cessation of ignorance comes cessation of volitional formations. With the cessation of volitional formations, cessation of consciousness. Thus there is the cessation of this whole mass of suffering. Monks, the Dhamma I have well expounded is clear, open, evident, and concise. Regarding this well-expounded, clear, open, evident, and concise Dhamma, those sons of good families who have gone forth out of faith should strive thus. Let only my skin, sinews, and bones remain, and let the flesh and blood in my body dry up. Whatever can be achieved by human strength, human energy, and human effort, I will not stop striving until I have achieved it. Monks, the lazy one lives in suffering, defiled by evil, unwholesome states, and loses great personal benefit. But the energetic one lives happily, far from evil, unwholesome states, and accomplishes great personal benefit. Monks, the inferior cannot attain the highest. Only by the highest can one attain the highest. Monks, this holy life is like refined liquor, with the teacher present before you. Therefore, monks, you should strive to attain what has not been attained, to realize what has not been realized, to actualize what has not been actualized. You should think thus. In this way, our going forth will not be in vain, but will be fruitful and beneficial. The robes, alms food, lodgings, and medicinal requisites that we use, the offerings of the donors to us will bring them great fruit and great benefit. Monks, you should train yourselves thus. Monks, whether for one's own benefit, for the benefit of others, or for the benefit of both, one should accomplish with diligence. This is the Second Sutra, explanation of the Buddha's wisdom and core teachings. This sutra profoundly expounds on the Buddha's wisdom and core teachings. Let's analyze it step by step. 1. The Buddha's authority. The Buddha demonstrates the depth and breadth of his enlightenment through the 10 powers and 4 fearlessnesses. This is not only an affirmation of his own abilities, but also serves as a foundation for establishing faith in his audience. According to Buddhist tradition, the 10 powers and 4 fearlessnesses are special abilities and qualities possessed by the Buddha. Let me explain these 2 concepts in detail. 10 powers. 1. Knowledge of what is possible and impossible. The wisdom to understand all cause and effect relationships. 2. Knowledge of the ripening of karma. The wisdom to understand the past, present, and future actions of beings and their consequences. 3. Knowledge of the various meditative liberations, concentrations, and attainments. The wisdom to understand various states of meditation. 4. Knowledge of the superior and inferior faculties of beings. The wisdom to understand the sharp or dull capacities of beings. 5. Knowledge of the various inclinations of beings. The wisdom to understand the different beliefs and understandings of beings. 6. Knowledge of the various elements in the world. The wisdom to understand the various natures of the world. 7. Knowledge of the paths that lead to all destinations. The wisdom to understand the states reached by all methods of practice. 8. Knowledge of remembering past lives, the wisdom to know one's own and others' past lives. 9. Knowledge of the death and rebirth of beings, the wisdom to understand how beings die in one place and are reborn in another. 10. Knowledge of the destruction of the defilements, the wisdom to know how to completely eliminate all afflictions. 4. Fearlessnesses. 1. Fearlessness regarding the claim of enlightenment. The Buddha declares that he has attained supreme enlightenment and is fearless in this claim. 2. Fearlessness regarding the claim of ending all defilements. The Buddha declares that he has ended all afflictions and is fearless in this claim. 3. Fearlessness in declaring obstacles to spiritual progress. The Buddha fearlessly declares what can hinder spiritual practice. 4. Fearlessness in teaching the path to liberation. The Buddha fearlessly teaches the path of practice that leads to liberation. These 10 powers and 4 fearlessnesses demonstrate the Buddha's profound wisdom and fearless spirit. They not only showcase the Buddha's level of enlightenment, but also provide a solid foundation for his teachings. Through these abilities, the Buddha can deeply understand the capacities and needs of beings, thus providing the most suitable teachings. On the path of practice, understanding these concepts can inspire our confidence in the Buddha's teachings while also pointing out the direction and goals of our practice. Although these abilities may seem out of reach for ordinary practitioners, they represent the highest state of practice, inspiring us to continuously progress towards higher levels of enlightenment. At the same time, these concepts remind us that true wisdom and fearlessness come from a profound understanding of ourselves, others, and the nature of the universe. In daily life, we can gradually cultivate our own wisdom and courage by continuously learning, reflecting, and practicing, facing various challenges in life. Continuing the analysis of the sutra. 2. The nature of the 5 aggregates. The Buddha explains in detail the arising and cessation of the 5 aggregates: form, feeling, perception, volitional formations, and consciousness. This reveals the nature of human experience, pointing out that all phenomena are temporary and arise from causes and conditions. The 5 aggregates are the fundamental Buddhist analysis of human existence. Let me explain these 5 concepts with simple examples. 1. Form refers to material form, including our body and the external material world. Example: the phone you see, the sound you hear, the fragrance you smell all belong to form. 2. Feeling refers to sensations, which can be pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. Example: the pleasure of eating delicious food, the pain of a mosquito bite, or the neutral feeling while walking normally. 3. Perception refers to the process of identification and conceptualization. Example: seeing a round object and recognizing it as an apple, hearing a woof woof sound and knowing it's a dog barking. 4. Volitional formations refers to mental formations and willful activities. Example: the thought process when making a decision, the process of forming habits, or the mental activity of developing a preference for something. 5. Consciousness refers to awareness or cognitive ability. Example: your current awareness of reading this text, or your ability to be aware that you're thinking. Let's use a comprehensive example to illustrate how these 5 aggregates work together. Imagine you're eating an apple. Form: the shape, color, texture of the apple in your body. Feeling: the pleasant sensation when you bite into it. Perception: recognizing it as an apple and associating its characteristics, sweet, crisp, etc. Volitional formations: the will to continue eating or forming a mental tendency like I like eating apples. Consciousness: the overall conscious experience of eating the apple. Buddhism teaches that these 5 aggregates combined form what we consider as self. However, the Buddha taught that this self is actually impermanent, unsatisfactory, and non-self. Understanding the nature of the 5 aggregates helps us reduce our attachment to this self, thereby reducing suffering and attaining liberation. 3. The law of dependent origination. When this exists, that comes to be. With the arising of this, that arises. When this does not exist, that does not come to be. With the cessation of this, that ceases. This sentence concisely summarizes the law of dependent origination, revealing the interdependent and interconnected nature of all things in the universe. Dependent origination is one of the core teachings of Buddhism. It explains how all things in the world are interdependent and interconnected. Simply put, it can be summarized as when this exists, that comes to be, when this arises, that arises, when this does not exist, that does not come to be, when this ceases, that ceases. Let me explain with a simple example. Imagine the growth process of a tree. 1. Seed sprouts, small tree, big tree, fruit, falling, leaves withering. In this process, with a seed, there can be sprouting. When this exists, that comes to be. When sprouting occurs, a small tree can grow. When this arises, that arises. Without a seed, there would be no sprouting. When this does not exist, that does not come to be. If the tree withers, there will be no new leaves or fruits. When this ceases, that ceases. This example demonstrates how things are interdependent. The growth of a tree is not an isolated event, but the result of multiple factors working together. Sunlight, water, soil, etc., are all conditions for the tree's growth. The law of dependent origination tells us that all phenomena in the world are interconnected and nothing exists entirely independently. Understanding this can help us better comprehend the world, reduce attachments, and increase wisdom and compassion. For a more detailed and vivid explanation of dependent origination, please refer to the first and second suttas of the 12th section of the Samyutta Nikaya, which I won't elaborate on here. Analysis and deep reflection on the sutra. 4. The root of suffering and liberation. The Buddha points out that ignorance is the root of suffering, and by eliminating ignorance, one can achieve the cessation of suffering. This shows humanity the path to liberation. 5. The importance of diligence. The Buddha emphasizes that practice requires great perseverance and determination, even to the extent of letting skin, sinews, and bones remain, and letting the flesh and blood in the body dry up. This illustrates the hardship of practice and the demand for persistence. 6. Contrast between laziness and diligence. The Buddha clearly states that laziness leads to suffering and failure, while diligence brings happiness and achievement. This stark contrast provides clear guidance for practitioners. 7. The goal and meaning of practice. The Buddha encourages practitioners to strive to attain what has not been attained, to realize what has not been realized, to actualize what has not been actualized. This not only provides direction for practice, but also gives it profound meaning. 8. Unity of benefiting others and oneself. Finally, the Buddha points out that practice is not only for oneself, but also for others, and even for the benefit of both self and others. This embodies the Bodhisattva spirit of Mahayana Buddhism. Deep reflection. This sutra leads us to deeply contemplate the nature and meaning of life. Each of us is pursuing some form of liberation, whether it's liberation from pain, anxiety, fear, or the pursuit of a higher level of spiritual freedom. The Buddha's teachings remind us that true liberation comes from a profound understanding of the nature of life and continuous self-cultivation. In today's fast-paced world full of temptations, the concept of diligence is particularly important. We are often distracted by various external factors and forget our true inner pursuits. The Buddha's teachings serve as a mirror, making us reflect. Are we striving for what is truly important? Are we struggling for higher goals? At the same time, this sutra also reminds us that personal practice and achievement are not isolated. Our actions affect not only ourselves, but also those around us and the entire society. This idea of interconnectedness is particularly important and profound in today's globalized world. Finally, the Buddha's teachings encourage us to maintain balance, to be diligent yet wise, to pursue personal liberation while caring for the well-being of others. This comprehensive and balanced view of life is perhaps the guidance we need most in our complex and ever-changing modern society.